The previous episode ended with Kafka getting an offer from Isao Shinomiya, the president-director of the Anti-Kaiju Defense Force, to join Division 1. Initially, Naromi, the captain, rejected Isao's decision on the grounds that he alone was enough to make Division 1 troops strong. But after Kafka showed his unyielding determination to Naromi, in the end Naromi was willing to accept the decision on the condition that Kafka had to prove his ability and provide results for him. Because if Kafka again shows signs of being out of control like before, then Naromi will not hesitate to kill Kafka and turn him into his combat outfit.
第一部隊出動だ。蹴散らすぞ。
The story continues by showing panic in the middle of the city, because again there is an earthquake that indicates the appearance of kaiju. More precisely, in the city of Tokyo in the Shinagawa district, a large hole is seen that suddenly appears in the middle of the city, and there are many kaiju hiding underneath. While in a different place, at the headquarters of the defense center, Kikoru, who had just finished undergoing training with members of Division 1, then rushed to meet Naromi in his room, because she wanted Naromi to also train her, but unexpectedly by Kikoru, Naromi suddenly prostrated himself asking for help from Kikoru to borrow her money. Naromi explained that he did not know why his salary that should have been transferred last Sunday suddenly disappeared from his account, when in fact Naromi had spent all his money to buy all the Yamasen goods behind him. Suddenly Kikoru immediately cursed Naromi. What kind of captain would even beg like that to his subordinates? Even though Naromi pleaded again that he only asked for one thing from Kikoru, namely financial strength, Kikoru still did not want to lend Naromi money and instead forced Naromi to train her. Shortly thereafter, Hasegawa came to tell that there was a call of duty for Naromi, Kikoru, and other members of Division 1 including Kafka, until after all Division 1 troops had gathered. Naromi immediately led them all to exterminate the kaiju who had just appeared in the Shinagawa district at this time. The scene then moved to the side of the residents, who ran in fear to save themselves from the kaiju who were there. Reportedly at this time, the kaiju had begun to appear in the Shinagawa district. The residents were urged to immediately evacuate to the designated shelter, but when everyone had begun to evacuate themselves to a safe place. On the other hand, there were still two siblings who had not evacuated and chose to hide behind a parked car because their younger sister's leg was injured. The older brother told his sister not to worry because he was sure the 1st Division troops would definitely come to save them. His brother was sure Naromi would be able to defeat kaiju like that with just one attack. Even though at that time one of the kaiju managed to find their whereabouts, the older brother still ventured to protect his sister from the kaiju, because he was very sure that Naromi would definitely come to kill the kaiju, and sure enough, right when the kaiju was just moving to eat them, suddenly Naromi actually appeared there to finish off the kaiju with his weapon, making the boy very happy and immediately calling Naromi. Naromi then told the boy that he could not call a captain without mentioning his rank, so as a punishment for him, then Naromi told the boy to go home immediately. Then he also asked the boy to post a tweet. Captain Naromi is really cool 10 times with her mom's cell phone. After that, Naromi tried to contact the Kanashi squad and the Maik squad to ask how their situation was. Kanashi reported that they had found 4 kaiju and would soon exterminate them, while on the Maik side they had finished exterminating the kaiju in their area. Hearing this, Naromi again gave orders to him troops that their priority now was to ensure the overall situation and save the residents, and depending on the situation they were also allowed to immediately exterminate kaiju on the spot or lead them to the extermination site. As for Kikoru and Kafka, who are kaiju number 8, since the residents of the area have already been evacuated, Naromi instructed them not to hesitate to eliminate all kaiju that enter the extermination site, and then give him a glorious result, because for Naromi, the result in battle is everything. Currently, Kikoru and Kafka are on their respective battlefields, Kafka, who remembers Isao's message that once said, "If you want to stay alive, then prove that you are useful." Then Kafka muttered that he should not waste the opportunity that Isao had given him. While Kikoru, who at that time had received a report from headquarters that the Kaiju had been led to the eastern extermination site. Kikoru immediately took out his new weapon in the form of a large axe and immediately prepared to finish off the Kaiju coming towards her. Narume again gave orders to the Shinomiya squad that their job was to support Kikoru and keep watch in case something happened. There was one Kaiju that suddenly appeared near the Shinomiya squad, but quickly Kikoru also immediately moved there to finish the Kaiju in one attack. All members were surprised when they heard the report from the center that Kikoru had managed to kill one Kaiju target, but for Kikoru it was not enough considering that Vice Captain Hashina's movements were still much faster than that attack. Kikoru once again darted forward to attack another Kaiju, remembering Captain Mina's attack, which was also much stronger than his. Kikoru was suddenly motivated to progress even further and immediately split the Kaiju's body with a swing of his axe, until reports of Kikoru, Officer Shinomiya successfully killing the second Kaiju target came. Back to Narume and the other troops. Even when Shinomiya did not realize when a Kaiju appeared behind her, Kikoru immediately used his gun to save Shinomiya by shooting the Kaiju and then saying, "Please don't let your guard down, Leader Shinomiya." On the other hand, the other members again received reports that Kikoru and Shinomiya had successfully killed Kaiju targets in a row. It suddenly made them curious whether this Kikoru was really a member of the first-year defense force, because it seemed that she was stronger than Narume when she was in the first year, but Narume, who heard it, immediately denied that she was still stronger than Kikoru. A moment later, Narume suddenly felt something strange about the Kaiju this time. He who had been observing that ant-shaped Kaiju usually rarely came to the surface, and they were only occasionally encountered at tunnel work sites or in underground construction. Of course, Narume began to suspect why this time they came to the surface in this large number, until after Hasegawa responded to his suspicions that the Kaiju's behavior was different from their characteristics similar to the incident at Tachikawa Base. Narume also suspects that these ant Kaiju must be being led by a troublesome Kaiju who has a purpose. Then the scene moves to Kafka's side, who is currently getting exterminated. Kafka is seen slapping his own face to get rid of the nervousness he feels at the moment. While in a place located at the temporary base of Defense Force number 318 in the strategy room. Here is also seen Isao and other officials who are observing Kafka's battle, because they are curious what Kaiju number 8's compatibility looks like when dealing with other Kaiju. Kafka, who is currently dealing with one Kaiju, quickly he immediately ran towards the Kaiju while making a partial change to Kaiju mode and jumped directly to hit the Kaiju. But since Kafka's attack did not succeed in having an impact on the Kaiju, unfortunately it was Kafka who had to be hit by an attack from the Kaiju that made him bounce. Seeing this incident, Keiji Itami asked Isao why Kafka did not change form, but Isao was only silent while continuing to watch what Kafka would do next. Kafka muttered, "It turned out that it was impossible if he only made a partial change, but if he made a complete change, Kafka was worried that he would lose control again like before." Until when the Kaiju spouted acidic liquid to Kafka that could melt anything, in the end Kafka began to venture to make the decision that he had to survive in order to be by Mina's side, by making a complete change of form. But how surprised Kafka was when he had just increased the energy to change to Kaiju number 8 mode. The energy suddenly disappeared, making Kafka unable to make changes, and Kafka was instead hit by a crushing attack from the Kaiju he was fighting. Kafka, who looked in pain and also confused as to why he suddenly couldn't change into his Kaiju mode. Even worse, suddenly a signal from a Kaiju of great power was also detected in the extermination area, and the signal was thought to have come from the main Kaiju. Narume, who heard it, said, finally appeared too, while when Hasegawa asked where exactly the main kaiju appeared, suddenly everyone was even more surprised because the main kaiju turned out to be right under Kafka. Hearing this, Narumi was immediately able to guess that maybe this main kaiju deliberately wanted to target kaiju number 8. After the main kaiju began to show himself, to the surface right where Kafka was currently located, it turned out that the main kaiju was Kaiju number 9, who appeared with a new figure to take revenge on Kaiju number 8.